Democrats are looking to flip one in Arizona. It's a contest that will determine the chief executive in a state that may very well decide the presidency in 2024. And we all know about counting the vote and who's in charge of certifying will matter a lot. Joining me now is the Arizona Secretary of State, Democratic nominee Katie Hobbs. For what it's worth, this was supposed to be back-to-back interviews with your Republican opponent, Kari Lake. We invited her on. She had agreed, but she decided not to appear, apparently. So let me just start, though, with this back and forth you've been having with the Lake campaign and with some debate organizers, and that is your decision not to share a debate stage with her. I know there's another one coming up on Sunday. I'm told that if you want to come, they still will make room for you. Are you at all rethinking that decision?
Absolutely not. I am focused on all the ways that we can take my message directly to voters and that I can continue to talk to voters about the issues they're concerned about. Our rising prices in Arizona were hit really hard by inflation here, fixing our public education system and addressing our state's water crisis and protecting reproductive health care. And I'm happy with the schedule we have for the rest of the campaign and the opportunities to talk directly to voters. We're focused on what we need to do in the next 18 days to win this race. You believe
back-to-back appearances are better than directly going back and forth with her?
Look, if you recall, the GOP primary debate here in Arizona ended up on late night comedy television. Voters were dumber for watching that in terms of where the candidates stand on the issues and how they would govern. It's clear that Kari Lake is much more interested in creating a spectacle and having the spotlight than actually having a substantive discussion about the issues. And I think her canceling her appearance here today underscores that. I'm focused on making sure the voters know the contrast between us by being able to talk about the plans we have to solve the issues that are facing Arizonans versus Kari Lake's lack of experience or any substantive plans.
What do you say to the folks that say, but I want to see if you can stand up to Kari Lake, and if you can't stand up to Kari Lake, you're going to be our governor. We want you to know that you can stand up to folks like her.
I've been fighting for Arizonans my whole career as a social worker and in the legislature. And certainly when people like Kari Lake did everything they could to question and challenge the election results in 2020 and showed that they were willing to do anything to overturn the will of the voters. We fought back after court challenge after court challenge. I had death threats, and I still showed up to do my job, and I'm still doing that today. So that's the fight I have in me for Arizona, and I'll continue to do that for the rest of this race and as governor.
Why do you want to be governor? What's the one thing you hope to get done?
We are facing a lot of tough challenges in the state, and we need leaders who can bring people together to solve those issues. The things I mentioned, affordability, our water crisis, public education in our state. And we need leaders who are going to focus on those issues rather than focus their entire campaign and governorship on loyalty to the former president and being in a position to potentially overturn the will of the voters in future elections. That's what's at stake here, and that's why I'm running.
The current governor is got decent approval ratings. With Governor Ducey, what would you do? What policies of his would you continue, and which ones would you discontinue?
I think the governor deserves a lot of credit for the tremendous economic growth that Arizona has experienced over the last several years. And by some accounts, the economy here is doing really well. But I talk to Arizonans every day who are struggling. And the economic benefits that are being enjoyed by some people are not being enjoyed by everyone. And we need to make sure that we are helping those who are struggling the most to benefit from the good economy in our state. And I don't think our current governor has been focused enough on that. And certainly my opponent doesn't have plans that are going to help make sure that happens.
You're proposing a tax cut. You're both proposing different tax cuts, but you're proposing a tax cut to try to help folks deal with the cost of living issue. How do you come up with a tax cut that doesn't end up inflationary itself, that doesn't end up contributing to the problem?
Well, an economic expert has actually looked at both of our plans, my plan and Kari Lake's plan. And my plan actually does help address inflation and help put people back to work and put money in their pockets. Kari Lake's plan is described as adding jet fuel to a fire and making inflation worse. Additionally, the tax cuts that she's proposed would cripple our cities and particularly their ability to provide public safety.
If you're elected governor, are you going to stop Governor Ducey's change in the way income taxes works in Arizona, or are you going to let that go through?
Well, it's gone through, and there's actually absolutely no feasible way to reverse it.
Okay.
No, I think we're there, and we're not going to try to reverse it because it won't be feasible to do that.
Let's talk about the border, because you have a security issue at the border that people are concerned about, but then there's also the lack of legal immigration, which is contributing to our inflation issue, and certainly a problem in Arizona with a labor shortage.
Yep.
Well, what does your balance look like? How do you keep a focus on securing the border and at the same time make Arizona welcoming to legal immigrants in order to improve the labor supply?
Well, I think you and I both know this is largely a federal issue, and my focus as governor will be working with members of Congress to come up with the solutions that are best for Arizona as a border state. We have borne the brunt of decades of inaction from Washington on this issue. We need comprehensive immigration reform that provides a tough but fair path for citizenship, certainly one that embraces our dreamers, and incentivizes legal immigration, and will certainly go a long way to helping with inflationary issues in Arizona related to supply chain and labor shortages. I think that's critical. That takes an act of Congress. In terms of border security, again, we need more federal resources. I will push the administration to do that to help secure the border. And I'll focus our taxpayer resources not on political stunts like the $12 million that Governor Ducey spent to stack shipping containers at the border, but actually putting those resources into the communities that are hardest hit and making sure that those law enforcement officials there have the resources to keep their communities safe. And 2 border sheriffs have actually endorsed my border security plan because it's a good plan.
If you're elected governor, you're likely going to have a Republican legislature. Maybe something surprises, but that's the most likely scenario. And you're going to have to come up with a new abortion law if it's not codified on the federal level for Roe v. Wade. Are you prepared to support an abortion law that you don't agree with, but it's the best you can get passed in the legislature? Or do you prefer to go another way?
Well, the law in Arizona is a 15-week ban, and I've already spoken out that I think this is too extreme, and I think the route that we're going to end up going is to pass a constitutional amendment that I know the majority
of ballot
of
referendum.
Yeah, and that has to go to the voters, and I know that most voters support access to safe legal abortion, certainly with reasonable exceptions for rape or incest, and I'm ready to lead the charge on that. And
so bottom line is you have no interest in working with the legislature as long as you're focused on a constitutional amendment to the voters. Is that fair?
Well, I think the legislature has made it clear that they're not representing the will of the voters and what the majority of Arizonans support on the issue of abortion, and that they have continued to be more focused on adding new restrictions rather than making sure that women in Arizona can get the health care that they need.
Katie Hobbs, Secretary of State, Democratic nominee for governor. I appreciate you coming on and taking our questions. Stay safe on the trail. And as I mentioned, Kari Lake's team agreed to join us for an interview today, back to back. Then they told us they had a scheduling conflict at the very last minute. The invitation, though, remains open for Kari Lake to join, meet the press on all our platforms. We look forward to speaking with her before the election.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.